Okay, this is a design, an older one of mine that, while I knew wasn't viable, I wanted to work on it anyway. Back when Koenigsegg was talking about their torque converter for their direct drive, I think Rivera is what it was called. And anytime I hear something that sounds like new technology, I like to figure out how I think it would work. And so this is what I designed. I didn't know what direct drive was back then. Now I know it's just a single gear, but this is a torque converter that translates torque and horsepower, and it also has an infinite gear reductive variable, or whatever they call that, infinitely variable gear reductions, whatever they call that. So I just wanted to make a short video of it, and because it's something I'm leaving behind. I might still play around with it on AutoCAD once in a while. It's a really fun thing to design, but it's way too complicated and impractical, and the way it transfers rotation, inertia, and force is these little balls, and I'll get into that in a second. Okay, so what it does is that the turbine and impeller versus your stator have two separate stages, so that the fluid flowing through the core at a certain pressure is released through these little winglets, and these then flow to a larger outward radius, and it acts like a large gear being on a smaller drive, so then it can flow variably through the center versus the outside. And the main issue with that is volume of your liquid, and well, there are ways to I figured to work around that. And this is drawing up different ways that you can do the gears on a curved surface, which has an immense amount of problems when you actually try to design it. And so I was working with weird little teeth that I thought could be like well, I haven't thought about this in a while. I have no idea what I'm saying. So when it's coned like this, see, this would be your gear on this transmission, right? So the gear teeth on the outside work fine, but it's as you start coning them inwardly that you're dealing with, like the gear teeth are kind of helically, but they're also getting smaller as they cone in. And then so I worked out different ways that you could do it, because this way versus this way, and then if you put one on each side, because this is how it transmits energy. It's got an outward shell like thing, and then a push rod that pushes these, and it curves around. So as the circumference of this cone reduces, you're changing your gear ratio to what you have this set to. And this allows you to set all your gear ratios independently. And because of how that can translate horsepower and torque separately, this then can modulate that, and you have, in theory, is almost an infinite amount of horsepower to torque ratios to gear ratios, except it is limited because there's only a certain amount of teeth that you can put on this surface here, and they get really interfering with one another as you start to push this up. And then plus you're transferring all this through a tiny little ball thing which that has a bunch of issues. And so I was working out ways that we could drive it, and and different bearing structures in there, or how to disconnect this at the moment of shifting. And then you have there's just a whole bunch of shit that went into this, and I just tried way too hard on it. for something that I knew wasn't even viable. But I was gonna send this to Koenigsegg and be like, hey guys, 'cause they were hiring, I think, at that time when I was drawing these. And I wanted to work for them. I thought it'd be an awesome job. Turns out, no, the Regera uses a fancy torque converter, yes, but it's just direct drive. It's not infinitely variable. Anyway, thanks for watching. Oh, if anybody wants to pursue working on this, if you watch this,